it's time to bring in another guest. And we're going to be talking about this match here. And it is going to be for the Southwest Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. And the Stallion Chris Bronson, the longest reigning Southwest Wrestling Heavyweight Champion in the history of SWW, will be going up against Gale, somebody that Chris Bronson knows very, very well. And without further ado, I'm going to be bringing on screen the challenger, Gale. JJ, awesome to have you on the Hype Show. Thank you so much for joining us today, live across Facebook, X, and YouTube. Live across the UK, live across the world. But I've got to ask you, we are less than 2 weeks away from Wrestleversary IV, less than 2 weeks away from the biggest show in Southwest Wrestling history. You were there at the very beginning, and all these years later, you get an opportunity to reclaim a championship that you once held. Let me ask you, less than 2 weeks away, where's your head at, my friend?
Look, I think the last couple of years for me in pro wrestling, it's been constant big matches, big moments, high pressure situations. And if there's one thing I've learned to do, it's to deal with that pressure in the right way. With each one of these big opportunities, you learn to deal with that pressure and you learn that you've got no choice but to deliver. And arguably, June 2nd at Cheltenham Town Hall is the biggest one yet. Have I been a heavyweight champion before? Yes, I have. That was the Southwest Heavyweight Champion. That is the only singles championship I've won in pro wrestling, believe it or not. And I have a sour taste for how that reign went. Like you said, it was the second ever Southwest Wrestling show. I was there at the start, humble beginnings, smaller crowds, less production. And I wanted to be the guy that was going to take Southwest Wrestling to the next level, to take it to where we are today, selling out Cheltenham Town Hall, I sure hope, in front of roaring fans with awesome wrestling cards. But instead, I was stripped of the title. And I don't hold a vendetta against anyone who did that. Business is business. But it certainly, as my entrance music says, lit a fire under me. And I have known that I had to get back to this point that I'm at today, where I'm the #1 contender for the Southwest Wrestling Championship. And I had that opportunity, obviously, and I'm sure we can delve into what happened there. But to answer your question, Johners, I'm locked in, I'm focused, and I'm ready to regain the title that I never lost and take Southwest to the next level.
Conor, do you have any questions for our guests?
I do. JJ, I just want to say, firstly, congratulations to get to this point. Commentating on your matches, watching your matches, it's been stellar match after stellar match after stellar match. So I just want to say, from an impartial point of view, it's just been a joy seeing you rise up for ranks again. And congratulations on this opportunity for the Southwest Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. One thing I wanted to ask you, you obviously alluded to it. You last won the Heavyweight Championship back in 2018. And obviously held it for a short period of time. My question to you, JJ, is what's the biggest difference between the JJ Gale of 2018 to the JJ Gale of 2024?
There's so many differences. Different name back then, different attitude. But come on, 2018 is a long time ago, and I have dedicated everything I have to this sport and this business and to progressing to who I am today and who I will continue to be as the days go on. The biggest difference is I've got that killer instinct now. Like I've said, I've had the big moments. I've wrestled in the big arenas. I've had the big matches. And I've got that confidence and that killer instinct. And Chris Bronson, I really would not want to be you right now, because I'm on a war path. And not only am I hell-bent on making a name for myself in this industry and being the top star in the United Kingdom, but I am desperate to win that championship back. Now, I don't think Chris or anyone else realizes quite how much this means to me. To be able to hold that championship in my hands again, to win the title in the main event of the biggest show in Southwest Wrestling history. It doesn't get bigger than this. The UK wrestling scene is going to have their eyes on Southwest Wrestling in Cheltenham Town Hall on June 2nd, and to have that moment would mean the world to me. So that killer instinct, that confidence, that's going to lead me to success. I have no doubt. But don't get me wrong. I'm talking a big game, but I'm also fully aware that Chris Bronson is the Stallion for the reason. He's the champion for a reason. Do I agree with how he wins his matches? No, I've made that very clear. But I've said since day one, the thing that really irks me the most about Chris Bronson is he's got all the talent in the world. He is a genetic freak. You look at the size of him, look at the way he moves. It doesn't make sense scientifically for a man his size to move the way he does, but he does it and he impresses and he wows the crowd, but he just takes the easy way out. And that goes against everything that the heart and soul stands for. And that is why I need to teach him a lesson in respect. I need to show him that he has been living on borrowed time, and that come June 2nd, heart and soul JJ Gale will fulfill the prophecy. I've got no choice. I have to be the Southwest Wrestling Champion.
Let me ask you, and speaking of the Stallion taking the easy way out, some might consider the way your match went down from the Frog and Fiddle last year, I think it was about October time, that he may well have taken the easy way out on, an incredible match between the two of you that didn't end the way you were hoping. Like I say, we're a few months away from that moment, and you've had a chance to reflect on that match and that occasion. And we got the biggest show in Southwest Wrestling's history. Knowing that you didn't quite get the job done against the Stallion back in October at the Frog and Fiddle, and knowing what a momentous occasion and what a grand venue we're all going to be in a couple of weeks' time, is there any sort of mind games going on in your own head with regards to whether you can get the job done on the biggest of occasions, JJ?
Look, I think October, I took for granted the opportunity I was given. I've been away from the company 5-6 years, and you come in, you walk into a main event for the championship. I think I was a little bit blinded by the role that I felt I was on, and I thought I could just come in and storm through everyone and win the championship, and that'd be that. But I knew the challenge I had with Chris Bronson, but I think I took it a little bit too easy. I think I took for granted the opportunity, and that's what's different this time around. I know Chris Bronson. I've been in the ring with him, and I've seen how he operates. And he nearly beat me a lot of times. There was times I didn't know if I could get my shoulder off the mat, but I just knew I had to. And I think that got into Chris Bronson's head. So I know Bronson's great game. I've been watching him and studying him every single night in preparation for this match. So I know what you do in the ring. I know the shortcuts you like to take, and I've experienced it firsthand, like you said. And I'm not going to fall victim to that again. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. You know the phrase, eh? But look, I know what Bronson brings to the table, and I think Bronson knows what I bring to the table. And I think this is a key thing that maybe people might be overlooking when it comes to this, because Bronson to cheat, to use the championship, is because he knows he can't beat me. If you go back and watch that match in preparation for this, Southwest Wrestling fans, go back and watch the amount of times that he hit me with something, and it was obvious. The fans believed that I was out, but I kept kicking out, and I think that's playing in his head, and I think he remembers that, and I think he knows that, and now I know his games, and I know how to counteract that. Bronson, it's not happening. The stars will align. I will win that championship. So, sure, I'm in for a fight, but I'm ready to win. Absolutely.
Conor, do you have any final questions for our guest?
I do. I have a final question. And JJ, you mentioned prophecy, which is obviously a very, very grand, suitable word for it. I think I speak for myself. I speak for John as obviously between 2018 and 2024 with Southwest Wrestling in general. We've all grown a little bit older, and we've all grown a little bit wiser since those early years. In terms of a full circle moment, winning the Southwest Wrestling Heavyweight Championship again, what would it mean to you?
Honestly, like I said at the start of this interview, it mean the world to me. Southwest is where I started my journey. I started training, just around the corner from Cheltenham as a teenager who just wanted to get into the business. So to return to that part of the country, having traveled the world, quite literally applying my craft, learning from some of the greats, testing myself, to be able to go back there where it all started as I walked in as a 16-year-old kid to take my first bump, to go back to main event, the biggest show in Southwest Wrestling history, and to win the championship would be just such a proud moment, and I can't allow myself to let that slip through my fingers.
Absolutely. And a few people watching us live at home, JJ. We got Stuart23 watching us live on YouTube. Go on, JJ. Go on, JJ. You got people all over the country rooting you on. Jim watching live via Facebook. Go on, JJ. And we got Lee once again watching us via YouTube. From what he's seen, JJ walking tall, he can go, rooting for him to end the Stallion's reign. So you got people all over the country, all over the UK, rooting for you to become the new SWW Heavyweight Champion. If you've got any final words for the fans at home who are rooting for you to become a two-time SWW Heavyweight Champion, the brand new champion on the biggest show in SWW history, and maybe some closing words for the Stallion at home. Any final words from JJ Gale for the fans and for the champion, your opponent, Chris Bronson?
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to the fans, you guys have been with me every step of this journey. And at the times where I thought I was going to give up, I couldn't because of you and your support. And since I've returned to Southwest Wrestling, that has meant the world to me to have you there with me. You've been on this journey with me. You know, whether you were there at day one or whether you've seen me at one of these recent shows, you've been with me on this journey. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do this together. Someone needs to end the Stallions' reign. Chris, I'm going to talk to you now. It's over. Okay? So bring me your best and let's have a fight. But know that if you try and pull one of your tricks, if you try and get a cheap and a fast one on me, it's not going to happen. I'm ready for the fight of my life, and I really, really hope you are. We're going to give the Southwest Wrestling fans a main event of all main events. And by the end of the night, I will do everything I can to walk out a Southwest Wrestling champion.
JJ Gale, you've been a tremendous guest. We're so looking forward to that championship match. And of course, it will be the Stallion Chris Bronson versus JJ Gale, the heavyweight championship match. That will be the main event worthy of that match in the Cheltenham Town Hall, June the 2nd, Wrestleversary IV, a main event, a championship match worthy of such an occasion. JJ, want to thank you so much for your time. We'll see you June the 2nd at the Cheltenham Town Hall. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And we look forward to seeing what goes down at the Cheltenham Town Hall. And we're all keeping our fingers crossed that it goes your way, my friend.
Let's do it. Thank you, Jonas.
Take care, JJ. Thank you very much.
Thank you.